viewers. Hello and welcome a new episode of Windows here on Nile International. We are bringing you this episode live from our Welcome back, dear viewers. And as we said, now we will be discussing thoroughly an in-depth analysis of the latest situation and developments in the Arab world, and very fast developments. And to shed more light on these developments, we're most delighted to be joined here in the studio by our dear guests. First of all, Dr. Karim Hamza, and he's a professor of political science, and also Dr. Ahmed Mehna, and he's professor of political economy. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for being with us on Windows. First of all, as I mentioned in the introduction, that the situation, a very fast-paced developing situation in the Arab world, and let's kick off with the situation in Gaza. Your gentlemen, your take on the situation in Gaza.
Actually, we see that in the beginning of the conflict in Gaza, Mr. Netanyahu announced that his aim is to destroy the tunnels crossing from Gaza to Israel and to protect the Israeli, and he insisted that his aim not to destroy Hamas or take over Hamas. As we see the death toll or the amount of casualties in the Palestinians and the type of casualties, it describes that his intention is not to destroy the tunnels, is to destroy the Palestinian people and to destroy any means for possibility to live in Gaza in the future. So they are attacking schools, they are attacking hospitals, they are attacking power stations. Even the UNRWA or UN agencies protection shelters was attacked with no mercy, with barbarian attacks and no excuse. They are not hearing for any call from the international community. We have almost 1,500 being killed. Almost 25% of this number are children's only. And in the same time, you are exceeding 7,000 casualties. The amount of refugees is over 230,000. So this is...
So just let me pick, Doctor, on what you said and ask you, Dr. Ahmed, what do you think is there a message behind bombing or shelling a UN-operated school, which encompasses the largest number of refugee camps, despite there were several warnings not to do so? What's the message behind this?
I think the Israeli government has always attempted to threaten the world as a whole, not caring at all with any kind of warnings or even humanitarian agreements or talks. They announced that they accept the Egyptian initiative to cease fire and help the Palestinians to gain some aid, but they still attacking the civilians. The attack on the United Nations building is actually a clear message that Israel never worried and will never worry about any international approach that the world will ever take against them. And basically that strengthens them in the region at large, and also it's a threat to the Arabs as well, that we don't care about the United Nations and the major powers. So where Arabs are going to stand in there if the Israeli government does not worry at all. But what I like, as much as we are sad about what happens in Gaza, I'm quite happy with the approach or the initiatives that have been taken by the Egyptian government. Here we can see that the Egyptian government has started to regain its position and its rank in the Middle East as a central factor to the power balance in the Middle East. Hopefully we'll have stronger messages coming out of Egypt that against the Israeli government, that they will have to cease fire and stop attacking the civilians. We're talking now about 1,400 dead and over 8,000 casualties.
So, Doctor, do you think that this continuing military offensive protective edge is just continuing, and the death toll is mounting? Is it just because Israel thinks or deems the U.S. One of the regional players or the superpower is supporting it and turning a blind eye on the atrocities committed by the Israeli military?
It is not giving a blind eye. They are giving them artilleries with $1 billion to support them for their war against civilians. So yesterday it was announced.
I mean, they're turning a blind eye on what's happening on the Palestinian side.
They don't see Palestinian side. They see the fireworks on the other side. So fireworks means that people are afraid. So they have to give them artilleries and they have to give them weapons and supplies. In the same time, Mr. Obama declaring every time that Israel has the right to defend themselves. But he haven't give any statement supporting to protect the civilian the Palestine and to protect the children. And now they are giving a doubt that we have doubt that Israel have attacked the UN school, while the UN themselves have announced that the school have been attacked by Israeli tanks, and after the UN have escalated, Israel have attacked another school. So I am supporting with Dr. Ahmad that Israel is giving a message that we don't care about the international law, we don't care about the international community, we will do whatever what we do. So what we see now, it is by law considered an organized genocide against the Palestinian people. It is a war crime. What they are doing now in Gaza, it is a new Holocaust, doing by the Israelis, not by the Nazis now. And after they finish Gaza, they will go to the West Bank, because now we're starting to have an uprising in the West Bank. So they were starting to go to West Bank after they finish Gaza. So I'm expecting not before 1 week they will finish their operation in Gaza.
This was about this brings us to the question I was about to ask you, Dr. Ahmad. Do you see an end to this conflict in sight in the near future, or is still this Israeli offensive will continue?
There is no end to violence. I'd like to go back to 1924. Basically, there was an international conference attended by major scientists, including Chaim Herzl, and they were trying to discuss what is the homeland that can be suitable for Israel, and the choice was Palestine. Here, there was a rise of the issue of how United States, or the superpower in the world, can control the Middle East and all its resources. We're talking about, in the Middle East and the Arab world, we're talking about 40% of resources in the world, particularly oil and natural gas. So how can the United States control the Middle East? By planting a group of terrorists in the middle that keeps a power balance in the area, prevents any rise of new superpowers such as Iraq, Egypt, Iran, and Turkey, and in the same time keeping the Arabs divided among themselves by creating under the table or hidden agreements among some Arabs to try to turn the Arabs against each other. So looking at that from 1924, and then the war in 1948, and the protection of England over Palestine and Egypt ended in 1947 in Palestine, and then suddenly the rise of
have some minor military operation to protect them. Already Egypt Air have started to send a complete fleet to Tunisia to evacuate Egyptians who can cross the border, but Tunisia have announced that it cannot afford a big number of refugees, so they can close the border. This means that Egyptians can be stuck there. This is not our problem only, because Italy and European countries are facing the same problem, but we are having the biggest populations or the biggest number of casualties there. If you look to the national security point of view, this means your western border are totally exposed for heavy weapon military and militants that are having access to rockets, are having access to Hound guns.
And this, I believe, this is what President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has warned of, that the borders are the situation there might violence could be expected, and this is why we have
terrorist attacks can be totally higher. The type of terrorist attack can be changed, because now we have closed no-fly zone in front of Libya. Now we are expecting that some flights which have been hijacked from Libya, it can enter our fly zone. So we have a high alert from the western borders. So now we are putting the Egyptian army.
On to Dr. Ahmed. Let me ask you, do you think that what is taking place and the targeting of Egyptians in Libya has to do with is it brokered or sponsored by the Muslim Brotherhood in retaliation to what has happened following the June 30th revolution?
Absolutely. The entire plan is sponsored by the Muslim Brotherhood, the International Committee, as well as United States. As you mentioned, June 30th revolution has really broken down the entire plan for the region, which is the creative anarchy or the creative chaos that they wanted to create in the Middle East. And from that, they will have a rise of new regimes that can be a major support to the United States and its ideologies and policies in the region. What they have done now, they succeeded in Syria, splitting it into two, succeeded in destroying Iraq completely, creating a kind of conflict between Iran and the Emirates. Now they turn into Libya, destroying it completely and destroying the entire infrastructure. What they're having a problem with is the Egyptian army. And I don't believe that the United States or even the Muslim Brotherhood, they were not supporting the Muslim Brotherhood because they believe in them. They were supporting them to exhaust the Egyptian army and enter into a conflict. So going back to a question, what is happening in Libya is just a sign of that they keep trying to break the Egyptian army and exhaust the Egyptian army and drag it into a conflict. So this is really stepping on the Egyptian army's toes to try to get them or attract them to get involved in Libya and get involved in a conflict. What we're going to have, or let's rather say, taking you outside your land. So what we need to be careful of and alert, and that depends a lot on intelligence, is we need to be alert on internal security and the borders. We have borders that are really full of holes, if you like, that we can expect heavy weapons coming from there, and especially the western border. So definitely we have to be alert, and we have to be behind our army and behind our government to try to support them in their challenge against the international terrorism.
Yes, Doctor. Another major political development, Dr. Karim, in Syria, of course, the Kurdish jihadist battle. Your take on